And welcome back to Game Escape. Here today to talk about my memories of playing games late at night. And I am a night owl by nature. I will stay up, assuming I don't have to go to work or I don't have an event or a commitment, I will stay up as late as I possibly can. I'll stay up till 3, 4 in the morning. And I've always been that way, and to me, this is the perfect time for gaming. I have always loved playing video games, in these hours when everyone's asleep, it's dark, the world is at rest, and you're up just interacting with these great video game worlds. I've loved it for as long as I was able to do it, and it all started with me probably back in the early to mid 90s when I was able to do a little bit more. Parents weren't as strict. And what I would do is Saturday night, I would watch Saturday Night Live back in the Chris Farley, Phil Hartman era. So I'm dating myself. And now I'm actually going to indict myself for incredible nerdiness. Then I would watch an hour of WCW Worldwide Wrestling, which was on one of the New York syndicates, and I was just like, oh my god, there's another wrestling promotion, I'm going to watch this. That ended at around 2 a.m. probably, or maybe it ran roughly as the same, for the last half hour of SNL or something, so it was 12:30 to 1:30. Anyway, I'd watch that, and then when that was over, I'd game. And it's crazy to be like a 10, 11-year-old kid staying up that late, and I just loved it. And there were always games that I played at night, and they're very specific titles. I could never play, and now we're going into late high school to late high school. When the PS1 came out, for me, I loved JRPGs on that system, but I couldn't play those late at night because you didn't want to get caught away from a save point. So I had to really block out time and play those games on the weekend. But yeah, these are my top 5 late night games. So topping the list would have to be Street Fighter of all varieties, from Street Fighter to Special Champion Edition on the Genesis, right through now until Street Fighter 4 Ultra. There's something about playing Street Fighter at night that I absolutely loved. When I was a kid, it was the idea that, hey, I could play these games in the arcade, but you know what? I could sit here in my room on my Genesis and play Street Fighter, and it was absolutely awesome. I then moved on to playing the Alpha series, a little bit later, actually on the PS2 with the Alpha Collection. Like I said, Street Fighter 4, when that first came out, I would always just feel best playing that game late at night, exploring all the different characters. And it continues to this day, just, me and the computer learning how to play as all the different characters. It truly was, and still is, a wonderful experience. So the next game I really have fond memories of staying up late at night is a game that I've talked about here on the channel and given, the highest of praise, and that is Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. And, I got this in the dead of winter in '94, as I explained in my video on it, and I had the Game Boy, I had the Game Boy Light, and I just, I would sit there and with the Game Boy, I could play this on a school night. I could, shut all the lights off, lay there, with the Game Boy Light and just absorb myself into this great world. Really the first time I got addicted to handheld gaming, and I just go back to those, winter nights in 94, I believe. It could have been 93. And I believe it was 94. A little bit after that game came out, and just losing myself in this amazing adventure. Next on the list, Madden 94 on the Sega Genesis. And, we're in a time now where Madden has become synonymous with corporate greed and complacency. No one gets excited for Madden games. They're just roster updates. But Madden 94 was an incredibly fun game for the time. It does not hold up well. It is not fun to play. It's not like Tecmo Bowl that you can go back to and have a blast with. But you know what? The sprites were a little bit bigger. It played a little bit faster. And it was just like having the NFL in my room as a kid and just playing through all the matchups that I was going to see, on Sunday. I could play them on Saturday night and stuff like that. And it was fun. And it was, again, in time of innocence. The NFL players weren't, brutalizing their wives. Well, they probably were, but we didn't know about it. But it was just, a kid, my newfound interest for the NFL, my Madden 94 game. And it just made for endless amounts of fun for me late in the night. Next game, WCW versus the World. And this was, to my knowledge, the first of the great ASCII Corporation wrestling games to come out here in the U.S. This was a PlayStation game. It had the same mechanics. It had the same graphical style as the great N64 games, but it came out first on the PlayStation 1. And I remember I was at a sleepover at my friend's house. We were playing this, and he was kind of lukewarm on it. He wasn't a big WCW fan, but it was a wrestling game, and so we gave it a go. But I remember he went to bed, and I was like, midnight, you're going to bed? Screw this. I'm going to play this game. I'm going to really get into it. And I had an amazing time, and I had to go out. I ran out and I bought one myself, and it was just like my own little late night wrestling league. Characters, just minimal WCW characters. A lot of those, made up ASCII wrestlers that would appear in subsequent games that were based on the New Japan or All Japan guys of the time. Another game that doesn't hold up really well, has nice music, but it's very slow. It's just not nowhere near the level of brilliance as the N64 versions. But for whatever reason, this was, I got this before those games came out, and I played those games well into the evening, with my buddies, later on in high school. We would have great, 64-man, Royal Rumble matches, but you could actually win by pin or submission. Those were great games. But before that, I was playing this game and having these great late-night tournaments, because the tournament mode, or making my runs for the title with every character, and it was my late-night wrestling league, and I absolutely loved it. And lastly on the list, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, one of my favorite games, one of my favorite game worlds. And this story is not a youthful story. I was addicted to this game when I was a grad student, not all that long ago. And I remember this came out 2006 or 2007 I got it on the PlayStation 3. And this to me was, quote unquote, the next level. This is what I wanted in a game. It was the first, open world game that I'd experienced like that. And I was drawn in. I was staying up so late. And this was, on nights where, I had class or I had to teach a class and stuff like that. I was staying up so late to play this game, it became worrisome. And at some point I was just like, I gotta have to stop. But I didn't. And I played through that. I didn't do everything you could do in the game, but had, over 100 hours probably. And it's one of my fondest gaming memories. And it's also probably the last game that I got addicted to that level. Nothing since. Maybe the Yakuza series, but of course those could be finished, in a reasonable amount of time. Nothing like Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and Skyrim. Obviously, Skyrim didn't grab me the way this one did. And I was burning the midnight oil. My grades didn't suffer, I was a TA, and my kids still learned what they needed to learn and did well for themselves. But, that was an incredible late night addiction. So there you have it. My favorite late night games, and to this day, I just, if I can, and I can't always do it, but if I can, I'm up late, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and I find it to be a moment of repose. Now, as I'm getting older, it's relaxing to sit here in the game room and, throw on, just go into the closet and pick out, a game maybe that I haven't played a lot, or just pick out an old favorite and just absorb myself, in solitude. This is a very solitary pursuit in a lot of ways. I'm not playing online. I'm not on any sort of social game, but just, having that, human machine interface with no interruptions, that's where the essence of my love for gaming started. And if I can swing it late at night, that's what I'll do. And I can't do it as often as I might like, but to me, that's always been the hallmark of my gaming life, has been playing late at night and just getting lost in the magic of gaming. So I thank you as always for watching Game Escape, and I'll be back shortly with another video.